Hey y'all, it's Angela here with Earrings by Angela. Thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time here, welcome. We are here for Thankful Thursday, and this is part of our gratitude series where I am being extremely transparent with you all and sharing my personal gratitude journal with you in hopes that you will share yours with us because gratitude is a conversation, you guys. It's the leading thing that helps you manifest great things into your life. So let's get started today. I will tell you, I am grateful for my mother and her wisdom. Y'all, I'm not just saying it because, you know, she's my best friend, one of them. I'm saying that because it's true. It is so true. Like, my mom is so smart. And if you sit down and listen to her, you'd be like, wow, she keeps dropping all these nuggets, all of these nuggets. And she's the one who got me in love with reading, you guys. I know I said in another video about, my childhood and how important books were. And I fell in love with them, but I did not tell you that even as an adult, we would have book clubs in the house. Like me, her, and my son, we were all reading. What was our first book club book? It was Black Boy by Richard Wright. Great book, you guys. You need to read it. I will put it, let me make a note to put that in the description, um, because it was amazing. Still is amazing. I mean, I'm finished with it, but I revisit it often. Um, but that, got my son into reading. And I remember that when he was younger, you know, Goosebumps with R.L. Stein. They had that show back then, and back I would watch it when I was younger, and then he would watch it, later on. They had reruns and stuff. So he fell in love with R.L. Stein's Goosebumps. So I said, okay, and I said, well, there's books here. Now, one thing that we did, and that's from my me growing up with my mom, her instilling books in us and how important it is to read. She always also took us to the library. And so that's something that I carried, you know, as a tradition with my son. And I'll continue that with my grandsons as well. And so he fell in love with that, but as he got older, he started to like Stephen King. You see how that fosters. So then when we had this book club in our home, when he was a teenager, we were doing homeschooling, you guys. We were doing homeschooling. And he really got interested. So he started reading more books, you know. What was the other one? Was it Letters to My Father or Letters to My Son? Something by, oh my gosh, why can I not? Because this is not what I was gonna say. Hill Harper, a book, was it Letters to My Son? I don't remember. But he started reading more books about how to be a positive male, and you know more about historical things. And then he was reading The Invisible Man. I'm still reading that. um but these were conversations. And then, so when my other son came to live with us, and I call him my son because I did have parental, whatever over him. He's not my biological, but he's my son's, one of his best friends. So when he came to live with us, um, that's that's two different cultures, melding together as well. You know what I'm saying? So you'll see him in some of my pictures if you're on my Etsy page. He's one of my models. His name is Asher. Hey, Ash Face. Oh, I told you nickname. Well, I do it on Facebook too. But we would do so that the boys and everyone can express themselves because we're into books, we're into writing. We would do a poetry club. So everyone would have to write poetry, and then we would do like, what is that? The poetry readings. because it's a form of expression, I did bend and see my mother and I are different here. I did bend and say that we can allow the profanity only if it goes with the story of what, because they into rap and all that. So they're not gonna be Will Smith artists. They're gonna be whatever. So anyway, we did that, but we encouraged them not only to read but to write. And when you want to be a writer, you have to read a lot. And I would tell my son, if you're always reading, I would tell both of them, if you're always reading, you always have something to talk about. Your world expands. Most of what you want to know is in a book. You can search the internet, but if you want a deeper understanding, read the book. Even when you watch a movie, it's a shortcut of the book. So these were some of the lessons that, and wisdom that my mom shared, shared, shares, because she continues to share. She's very big on education and knowledge and all that stuff. Matter of fact, can I tell y'all why she wouldn't teach me how to cook? Y'all listen. I would ask my mama after I got older, Mama, can you teach me how to cook? Now I didn't learn how to cook until I was 24. And that's because my dad pulled me to the side like, hey, now you got a whole nother little person growing up. You can't be doing this fast food stuff. You're gonna have to get in that kitchen and cook. Because he needs to be, have some nutritious, healthy foods too. Okay, okay. So I went and I asked my mom, I said, Mom, and I visited her one day. Me and Nate got out the car. I used my key to get in her door. And I said, Hey Mom, how you doing? She was like, Hey. And I said, I have a question for you. She said, Already, you just got here. I said, Mom, I need to learn how to cook. She said, Do you? She said, I remember when I tried to teach you how to cook. You didn't want to learn because you wanted to be outside playing with those boys. I was a tomboy, y'all. You didn't want to come inside. So she went to the shelf and she comes back with this cookbook. And it's red. It's one that she had because I ended up getting the same book. Simplest book you can ever read. And for me, it's a classic. I don't know it's really retro, but it's a hardcover book. And it's by, I think her name is Meta Givens. But I'll put it in the in the description because it's cool. I mean, it even teaches you how to make popcorn. Come on, y'all. But she came back with this book, and I remember that book being in the kitchen all the time. But it's on the bookshelf now in her living room. And she said, "You see this cookbook?" And I said, "Yes." And I said, "Are you gonna do like Uncle Paul did, and give me cooking lessons like he did with Paula and my cousins, y'all?" And she said, "Mm-mm," because when I wanted to teach you, you didn't want to learn. And so she hands me the book. She said, "Here's the book." And I said, "Well, but this is not teaching me." She said, "Mm-mm, it's not. But if you can read, you can cook." You see how she did that, y'all? She said, "If you can read, you can cook." And I remember I was like, dang, I messed up that chance. So note to self, if my son says that he wants to learn something, or if I need to teach him something, I gotta act on it right away. No procrastination. Taught him how to cook when he was 8. You see, no procrastination. We're not doing that up in here. I had to teach him. So she said, if you can read, you can cook. So that led me to the kitchen. And I said, now I remember taking home ec in 8th grade and a little bit in high school. Well, I wasn't paying attention. We were doing desserts. We wasn't cooking no real stuff. So I remember I said, I started, reading that book. And I said, well, I got to have my own cookbook. I don't want hers because it's outdated. So my very first cookbook that I bought for myself was 2003 Cooking Light Annuals Cookbook. I gotta write that down because I'm gonna every book that I'm putting in here, I'm gonna link it to y'all. But I remember I was watching Food Network, Emeril Lagasse, bam. That's what it was back then, and he was making homemade croutons. So I made homemade croutons. All right, that wasn't in the book. Now I'm in the book, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna tell. I promise I'm gonna learn how to cook this food, and then I'm gonna have my mama over for dinner. So every day after work, I would pick something and be like, okay, now where I worked was working close to a grocery store, so I pick pick my recipe in the morning, and then go to the store after work, come home, put on some jazz, have a little glass of wine, set Nate up with his snack, and I would read the recipe. I'm like, I can do this, and I would cook every day. Now, did everything turn out great? Nah, because I wasn't getting the understanding. But once I got it though, so I think my first recipe from that cooking light book was tortitas de maíz. Okay, tortitas de maíz, something like that. I had to look it up. Turned out pretty good. So then, of course, I had to go with this other thing. It's called a Byrok, and it's like a meat and cabbage filling that's inside of bread. You gotta make the bread. So I learned how to make bread and stuff it. And the best thing about this recipe was it was freezable. So the leftovers would go in the freezer and would last for 3 months. It was amazing. Was it a Russian dish? I forget. But listen, here's the thing. Here is the thing. Now I'm learning about different cultures and what they eat, right? Do you see that? The tortitas de maíz, the Byrox. And now I'm like, now where did this originate? Because remember, I came from a house that reads. So now I'm doing research. Where does this come from? Where is this? Now I'm looking up ingredients. At, even though my mother would not stand with me and teach me how to cook, she gave me one of the greatest lessons ever. Anything you want to learn is in a book, but I'm going to teach you to teach yourself. Which now fast forward, and guess what happened? Because I was self-taught, I was able, and I was comfortable in my cooking, I was able to go and teach cooking classes at the local recreation department. What? Yes. I had a cooking blog for a minute. I did that and it was amazing. I got to making stuff. I was a personal chef for one of my friends, you guys, to prepare for her for her gastric bypass surgery. She trusted me to prepare her meals. So that lesson and that wisdom that my mom shared with me increased my life abundantly. Her soft no was a delicious yes. And that's why I am so grateful for my mom. Thank you guys for joining me today for that wonderful moment of gratitude. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes. And make sure you decide whether or not you want to become part of our family. We would love to have you. You see, I invite family members in real life and in this life. This is still real life, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? Um, so what are you grateful for today? I'd love to hear that in the comments. If this video inspired you at all, please give it a thumbs up. And I thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us on this day at this time on this channel. Peace and blessings to you all. Love you. Bye-bye.